Alright, what's going on, everybody, to the second episode? Believe it or not, yes, we're getting even more episodes in for the podcast right here. And what podcast is it? And that is the Dave and Chris Show.
The one that totally reeks of that awesome sauce. And David, brother David, we have a very special guest in-house. He is coming to us from Louisiana.
Yep.
He is somebody that I have very familiar relations with as it pertains to the old drama community. He is a very dark entity, if you will. He also he's very mysterious. He also has a very alter ego, if you will, of the female persona in the FBXW.
Where stars are born.
Yeah, where stars are born. And by the way, if you want to subscribe, go subscribe to that or follow it on Facebook, the main home of the FBXW. We highly recommend it. We do two shows, one on Friday, one on Sunday, and it is nothing but awesome, and it is fun. So, without further ado, ladies and gentlemen, I give to you none other than Krow, the Omega. Krow, what is up, dude? How you doing today?
Yeah, no problem.
Yeah, so what have you been up to lately? Good, awesome. That is totally awesome. So basically, if you're, we know you're not that new. To our podcast because I think you were mentioning off camera or off air that you did listen to our first podcast, which is very cool. We thank you very much for that. And so, brother David, what do we want to talk about for our very first topic here on the David and Chris Show, the show that totally reeks of awesome sauce?
Well, for this one, just going to keep it light since as we're taping this right now, depending on when it goes up, it is Memorial Day with the weekend and everything like that. So, with that being said, I decided to keep the show a little bit light. Won't be nearly as long, but you never know with that. So, we're just going to have a little bit of random ramblings, talk about Extreme Rules that's coming up this Sunday, give some predictions. But I figure we'll go ahead and talk things first. We'll start things off with some video games and stuff like that, since that's another passion, and what we're doing actually is based on video game stuff. So I figure I'll go around with that. And what is your experience with video games? How do you feel about them? And all that good stuff. So we'll go around with this. So, brother Chris, what are your thoughts on video games? What got you introduced? What do you like about them? What are some of your favorites and stuff?
My very first experience with video games was the very first Nintendo system. My parents got it for me for Christmas, and we ended up plugging it in right away. As some people may or may not know, I was the only child, so I didn't really have anybody to play video games with, like the Mario Brothers, the Gyromite, because I had the robot and this game called Gyromite, the Duck Hunt, and so that's what started my experience with that. Then I would get games every now and then. My parents would buy them for me, like games like Karnov, Rygar, Commando, Legendary Wings. Even threw in some wrestling games. My very first WrestleMania video game I had Hulk Hogan, Rick Rude, Bruce the Barber Beefcake, Andre the Giant. So that was really cool. And so my experience from video games, and then after that I upgraded to the Sega Genesis. My cousin at the time got the Nintendo, the Super Nintendo, and it kind of just, always seemed to have escalated to the bigger, better video game system. And I think, in my personal opinion, the very last very good video game system that we ever had, at least in my opinion, is the PlayStation 2. Loved the PlayStation 2. Yes. And, I had, like I said, I had like a Dreamcast. I hated that damn machine because I didn't think the games were that good. I don't know what you think, Krow, but it didn't have many good video games. I never had a TurboGrafx 16, never had anything like that. But I always followed suit of either Sega or Nintendo. Nintendo 64, awesome video game system. You had No Mercy and WrestleMania 2000. 007 for the people out there that loved 007. But my favorite video game from the Nintendo 64 was Mario Kart. Loved Mario Kart. It was a good time. Xbox, as we got into Xbox, that was okay. You'd play, that was my very first experience with online gaming, the Halos, that came out. So, overall, my experience with video games has been very good. And, some of my, favorite video games, like I said, Mario Kart for the Nintendo 64, the SmackDown games for the PlayStation 2. Loved the SmackDown versus Raw games. SmackDown, Here Comes the Pain. All very good video games. And each generation revolutionized some kind of gaming. And now it's just one big conglomerate of online stuff, downloading games. You miss those days of actually being able to go and pick out a game, bringing it home, unwrapping it. That was the nostalgia of it all. And my experience has been very good. Now, what we're going to do, let's pass it on to Krow. Krow, tell us your experience with the world of video games.
Yeah, I've been I've been on those. Yeah, there's a few of those games that are actually pretty good. Yeah. Mm. 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 Oh, wow. Mm. Mm. Alright. Yeah, for me, I've been playing since, forever basically, like 5 or so. probably even a little bit more than that. I actually had like the Game Boy Advance and all that other stuff, so I had the portable ones. I had the PlayStation, that was my first one. Yeah, so that was pretty cool. I always, tried like the different ones that are out there. I like the fighting ones, those are obviously one of my favorites, and one of the stuff that I am good at. Racing games, I've always been great at those, so those are always fun. A little bit of everything for the most part. I'm still looking to try and maybe get up into the Xbox again. I never really had one, so the recent one, the Xbox One, I might try and get sometime later on. I was debating on the Switch, but I don't know about that yet. That's a little bit in the works, but we'll have to wait and see in that. So yeah, basically been more of the PlayStation guy as of late and getting all the games, and I always would pre-order basically all the wrestling games and can't wait to get those. So those are always fun. So yeah, you'll be seeing me streaming them every once in a while, of course, and I know, Krow, you've been on there a couple times, and you, Chris, so there'll definitely probably be even more streams definitely in the near future.
Oh,
Yeah, good times.
Yeah, I mean, the only time I'll stream is when I'm here at David's house, because
Right.
otherwise I don't own a PlayStation 4 or an Xbox One. So, and I'm, based on what I know, I am pretty bad at 2K17.
Well, you weren't too bad though.
Yeah, I mean, the Xbox controllers have always been rather clumsy, in my opinion.
Yeah,
They're just
they're
so
definitely
big and
different.
so.
Mhm.
The PlayStation has always stayed true to its design,
Yeah.
with a few upgrades here and there. Like, I mean, I remember the very first, analog stick
Mhm.
for the PlayStation.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was a game changer, and
Yeah,
I
it
mean,
is.
you had the rumble on it and everything, so that was cool.
Yep.
And then they always upgraded that on the, for the PlayStation 2,
Mhm.
because they did make the very first analog stick controller was for the PlayStation 1,
Oh yeah.
if I'm not mistaken. And
Mhm.
so then the PlayStation 2 revolutionized
Mhm.
that rumble pack,
Yep.
the analog stick, and and as the games progressed, you would forget about the D-pad and go with the analog sticks more.
Mhm.
So the games were always good with that. So
Yeah, that's
it
true.
just took some time getting used to,
Yeah, and the Dreamcast. I know you mentioned that. I actually did have that for a little bit, not too long. I had a couple of games on there, like the wrestling ones and a few other ones. I think another one was kind of like an anime game. I think I did have that one, or it was something else. It was a long time ago. Yeah, so that one does sound familiar. I think I did play that. But yeah, I had like all that stuff. I also had the GameCube. Now that was fun. That I really enjoyed. I would like to definitely have that again someday if I can, since I know they're online and stuff like that. So maybe I'll get that back because they had some really great games on that.
Yeah, that's the only game
Yep.
system I have left in my house.
Yeah, I
I've
remember
got
that.
I've
Yeah.
got Resident Evils 1 and 2. Very good games for that
Yeah,
system.
I love this series.
It's a lot more polished, and
Mhm.
I love it. I don't play it as often,
Yeah.
but that's really neither here nor there. But the
Right.
GameCube is a good little fun little system.
It is.
But
Yeah.
their wrestling games, in my opinion, for the
Mhm.
GameCube ended up failing, in my
Mhm.
opinion. But that's just me.
I always liked the storylines that they did have, like for Day of Reckoning 1 and 2. I think that was really cool for me and how they planned that out. But speaking of like Resident Evil, if it wasn't for that, then I wouldn't be into The Walking Dead now. So that's what got me really into that. Right. Yeah. Yeah, it's really good. So definitely one of my passions on that.
Oh yeah, I mean, you think about Resident Evil 1,
Mhm.
the very first one for the GameCube,
Oh yeah.
or even the PlayStation,
Mhm.
and the controller would rumble, um,
Mhm.
at every single turn where there would be a zombie, and you would be getting eaten,
Yeah.
and the thing would just be going
Mhm.
on you. It was really really cool.
Yeah.
But yeah, so Yeah, that's. I think that about really wraps it up for video games. Unless you have
Mm,
something else you need to add, or
mm,
Crow needs to
mm,
add to it.
mm.
Nintendo Power, remember that?
I don't think I actually had that one, but yeah, I do remember that. Yeah, another game I'm looking forward into. Yeah, but one I'm looking forward into getting pretty soon, which kind of sucks they pushed it back, but I can see why. For Red Dead Redemption 2, that's going to be pretty badass. I'm looking forward into that. The first one was really good, and in terms of like scary games, not a whole lot really scared me. Maybe Silent Hill. That's about it. A couple of them here and there, not too many, to be honest.
Silent Hill was definitely a little bit creepy, but
It was.
as far as creepy games, I give it to Resident Evil, honestly.
Yeah, especially the first one, first few. Yeah, definitely. Uh, yeah.
Although I will say this,
Mm,
there was a game called Deja Vu for
mm,
the original Nintendo Entertainment System,
mm,
and it had the creepy music. Basically, the
yeah.
premise of it all is you play a detective,
Okay.
and you have to search things out, but you wake up in a bathroom not knowing who you are.
Huh,
And
that's
it's got
creepy.
this really creepy music, and
Mm-hmm.
you meet creepy characters along the way, like bums and hookers, and
Huh,
um,
yeah.
and you have to bring back to reality what it is that you are, who you are, um,
Mm,
and so I mean, it was just this really freaky game. If you
yeah.
have the opportunity, go on YouTube and
Mm,
scope it out. Check out the gameplay of it and
mm,
the really creepy MIDI music that they
yeah.
have with that video game. Oh my god! I tried playing it in the dark in the basement of my parents' house when I was a
Oh
kid,
wow.
and it just sent chills up and down my spine.
Mm,
Just because of how creepy the game actually was. I don't
yeah.
know if Crow ever remembers that video game, but it's one that will stick.
Mm. Oh yeah, G4 TV. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it is god awful creepy.
Mm,
Um, not not as creepy as Resident Evil,
yeah.
but still creepy enough where it's gonna make the hair on the back of your neck stand up, just
Yeah.
because of how the
Mm,
storyline and the that exactly.
mm,
So yeah, that'll be that when that comes time for video games. Brother
mm.
David, what do we got next?
Well, with that being said, I guess we'll probably actually go into the predictions part for Extreme Rules now that it is going to be for this Sunday and everything. So, the only time WWE gets to go extreme, if you will. So, I actually do have the card with me right now. Actually, not too many. I'm sure, as we talked about this earlier, they'll probably have, of course, the kickoff matches, which Raw is on tonight, so they'll probably announce it then, and maybe
Mm-hmm.
I would expect 2, maybe 3 matches, give or take, but we'll see. But yeah, we'll go ahead on that and go on with the match listings. What I have here first, I have Neville, Andrew Neville, yes, if you will, on that versus Austin Aries for the Cruiserweight Championship on the Cruiserweight side of things. And this one, I do expect this, of course, to be another great match between the two, probably end things off there. So now with this one being a submission match, now this one I am hoping Austin Aries gets the Cruiserweight Championship over Neville. And then since we're going to the house show in July, maybe we'll get to see Austin Aries as the Cruiserweight Champion. But that's me. How do you feel about that, Brother Chris, on that one?
In my opinion, this match favors Austin Aries like you would not believe because Neville is more of the high flyer, okay?
Mm-hmm.
Not to say that he doesn't have some good groundwork, but the groundwork really belongs to Austin Aries in this
Yeah.
match, and I do believe because Neville won the last time, we're going to see a new Cruiserweight champion in Austin Aries.
Mm.
Crow, what is your opinion on Neville versus Austin Aries for the Cruiserweight Championship?
Yep. Alright, so then we move on into the tag team match, which would be the steel cage. Now, when they officially announced like there would be a stipulation, I was actually honestly expecting a deletion or something like that. But I have it here on CageSeats.com. They're announcing it as the Hardy Men, basically the Hardy Boys, taking on Cesaro and Sheamus. And with this one, I don't really see Cesaro and Sheamus really getting the belts back. I actually still want the Hardy Boys to actually keep it a little bit longer, especially with their homecoming pretty soon for WWE Fayetteville, so I would love to see that, obviously. So I'm definitely going with the Hardy Boys getting the win, retaining and moving away from Cesaro and Sheamus, because I honestly really would like to see something different for the Hardy Boys after this. How about you?
A steel cage match definitely works in the better interest for the Hardy Boys because they have been in countless steel cage matches.
Yeah.
Hell in a Cell, you name it, they've done it. The Six Sides of Steel.
Yeah.
Especially for like Jeff Hardy in TNA.
Yeah.
So this one really favors the Hardy Boys all the way. I'm going with the Hardy Boys to walk out because I just don't see. I think maybe if a title were to change, especially for Cesaro and Sheamus, they're going to get it back at SummerSlam.
Nice.
But this one, I'm going with the Hardys.
Tremendous. All right, Krow, how about you? Mm-hmm. Mm. Mm. Exactly. Mm. Mm. Yeah,
That's actually a pretty good scenario.
that makes sense. I would like to see that. What's well, yeah, we try though, and then sometimes it does help, and sometimes it actually turns out to be that way. Sometimes it doesn't, but I would say the Revival, but they're still injured as of right now with one of their team members, so that's the only team that I can really think of. Yeah, so I'm sure that'll probably be safe until whenever they actually both come back and stuff, and then eventually face the Hardy Boys. I think that would be pretty cool to see. Mm. Yeah, they're badass. But what we have here, again, another match basically on the pole. We got a kendo stick on the pole. And with that, we got... yeah, I don't get these pole matches. It doesn't make any sense whether it's a kendo stick or whatever. They'll put anything on the pole these days. But we got Alexa Bliss versus Bayley for the Raw Women's Championship. As much as I really want Bayley to win, but I think your favorite Alexa Bliss is going to retain, and we'll see her as Raw Women's Champion.
You know, and I'd be okay with that because here's the thing. Giving Alexa Bliss her due. Mm-hmm. She's doing a good job as being the bitch. She plays that to such a... And it's taken me so long to realize it, but she plays the bitch and she pushes the button hard. Okay? I saw some clips of what she did to Bayley. Bayley having that huge mark on her back.
Yeah.
But I do think Alexa Bliss. There is a reason why they put all the eggs in one basket with her. It's because she's good. Bayley being that huggable type of champion, being the face of Monday Night Raw, the women's division on Monday Night Raw. Little girls looking up to her, people wanting to hug her, all this, that, and the other thing. Yeah. And that's all well and good. But at Extreme Rules, this match, I think, is honestly going to favor Alexa Bliss. But now, you were talking about the poll.
Mm-hmm.
Do you realize that started with the Big Boss Man versus a guy by the name of the Ex-Convict Nails, and they had a nightstick on a pole match?
I saw that,
where it was the end of the feud, and they had to put the nightstick. The Big Boss Man had just come back from injury from Nails, and Nails went through everybody. And this was at a Survivor Series that this happened. And Nails was the first one in the ring. He was going up. Big Boss Man runs down, starts kicking the crap out of him. Big Boss Man ends up getting the nightstick and ends up winning the match. So that's where this whole pole thing on a match in matches came from. So yeah, that was a good Survivor Series, and I think that's the one, if I'm not mistaken, where Bret Hart took on Shawn Michaels for the first time. It was a one-on-one encounter. Shawn Michaels, his belt, his Intercontinental title wasn't on the line, but Bret Hart's World Championship, WWE Championship, was on the line. So that was a really interesting Survivor Series. I remember that one pretty well. And like I said, I believe that was the same Survivor Series that Nails and the Big Boss Man had their fight, if I'm not mistaken. So, but yeah, for me, I'm going with Alexa Bliss on this one. So, Krow, what's your take on this kendo stick on a pole match?
Yeah. Right.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. And yeah, it took me for the longest time to drop my grudge.
A while.
It took me a long time to drop my grudge with Alexa Bliss.
Yeah.
Now I'm just seeing her as the talent she is, the buttons that she's pushing, and realizing it is what it is, and she's realizing that she's good at her craft.
Indeed, she is. Yeah.
Not many people can ultimately say that they're really that good at their craft, but if you have one person in mind that is probably one of the best at her craft, it's definitely going to be Alexa Bliss.
Yeah, that's true. I remember that one pretty well. Yeah. Yeah, I never would have expected her to be this badass as a heel as she is right now.
Oh, absolutely. You're absolutely right.
All right, so... yeah.
Yep,
she does that very well, too. All right, so we got the Intercontinental Championship, which will also be on the line. We got Dean Ambrose and The Miz. And with this one, I do want Dean Ambrose to actually keep it. I think that's fine. The Miz basically been there, done that. And I kind of want to see him more in the main event, honestly, too. And what he's done last year for the Intercontinental Championship on SmackDown, I think it's time that The Miz goes back into the main event, especially going into the summer and being on Raw. So I'm going to have to go with Dean Ambrose on this one.
Yeah, I'm creepy Chris Michaels, so I got to go with my boy Dean, too, because I think you're absolutely right. I think The Miz deserves main event spot.
Yeah.
He did absolutely an excellent job with the Intercontinental title. Okay,
Oh, yeah.
loved his title run, loved it, and being having Maurice at his side. I think he's come a long way. He's done movies. He's been there, done that.
Mm-hmm.
I think he deserves a main event spot. I think he deserves another chance at that main spot. For like on Monday Night Raw being like the Universal Championship. But that may be later on down the road, maybe end of the year this year, maybe early next year if we're if we're blessed enough to see that. But yeah, I mean, I'm going with Dean Ambrose. To me, if Dean Ambrose were to lose, I want to see him lose it to Baron Corbin, but that's just me, and that's neither here nor there. But I'm going with Dean Ambrose for the win for that. Krow, what's your take on Dean Ambrose versus The Miz? As much as this could very well be, I mean, we've been there, done that, seen that with this match. But what's your take on this?
Right. Yeah, then again, they had that added stipulation where if Ambrose is disqualified, he will lose his title. So then again, yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, good. That's a good possible case scenario, in my opinion. But yeah, we'll have to. Yeah, absolutely.
Then again, we could probably see Elias Sampson actually make his way into the match too, probably. Could happen. Yeah. And that, expect like Maurice to probably try and do something. I would expect that too. Probably that more than most. Yeah. Yeah, that's true. Yeah, he is. But then we get into the main event to see who will face Brock Lesnar at the Great Balls of Fire, the new pay-per-view. We got Roman Reigns versus Seth Rollins versus Bray Wyatt versus Finn Balor and Samoa Joe, all in the Fatal 5-Way. This one I'm still thinking about. I kind of have an idea, but I think it makes sense having this for Brock Lesnar versus Finn Balor at Great Balls of Fire for the Universal Championship. I think that makes the most sense here. Or it could go maybe to Seth. I would expect that too. But with that being said, I think I'm going to go with Finn Balor actually looking to get the win, looking to face Brock Lesnar. And I actually wouldn't mind having Finn Balor being Universal Champion. And I think that'd be cool to actually see the title more, since Brock Lesnar doesn't really defend it as much when he's a part-timer and stuff. So Finn Balor is my pick. How about you, Brother Chris?
Yeah, if there's one thing about this match is, we can look at rumors all day, okay? But let's be hypothetical here. This would be a David and Goliath match if we were to have Finn Balor versus Brock Lesnar for the Universal title. I can see injuries in the future.
Yeah, that sucks.
But you got to think here.
Mm.
Seth Rollins is going to have his hands full with Samoa Joe. I don't think they're done yet, especially from when Samoa Joe kept attacking Seth Rollins, protecting Triple H.
Right.
Then you got Roman Reigns. Roman Reigns is going to probably have his hands full with Bray Wyatt.
Yeah.
So the only way to get this thing down the middle is to have Finn Balor, pin somebody.
Yeah.
Who that's going to be, I don't know. But he's the only one in this that really doesn't have much of a feud with any of these guys, unless I missed something on Monday Night Raw. So
somewhat Bray Wyatt, but
but I just think I don't think they're gonna be fully vested in Roman Reigns yet. I think he has a way to go. Could this be Seth Rollins's chance at redemption?
Could be.
Yeah. But in all honesty, I think this is going to come down to a triple threat, or as you might say, a triple threat.
Yeah, a triple threat could happen.
Yeah. So I could easily see Finn Balor and Seth Rollins going at it with Brock Lesnar for the Universal title. So, winner of this match, I think, will be Finn Balor, but especially with that special they did. I absolutely loved that special they did with Finn Balor on the WWE Network. I don't know if Krow, you saw that, but it was awesome. And I think I'm going to have to... It would make sense to go on paper. It would make sense to go with Finn Balor, but it would just be such a... Unless you threw Seth Rollins in the mix for the Universal title, I think that's the only way it's going to end up making sense.
Right.
But Finn Balor for me. Yep. Krow, what's your take on this fatal five-way?
Mm-hmm. Oh boy, that wouldn't be so bad. Yeah.
You just mentioned something I was just thinking about. Let's say, hypothetically speaking, The Miz wins the Intercontinental title at the pay-per-view. Then at SummerSlam, we see Roman Reigns, Seth Rollins, Dean Ambrose, pretty much all in a fatal four-way for the Universal title. That would be something. That would be something. But then again, who do you give it to?
Yeah.
If you're going to have Brock drop the belt.
Yeah.
You're going to give it to Dean Ambrose? You're going to give it to Seth Rollins? Or you're going to give it to old Cockfist?
They'll probably go with Roman, but Seth Rollins seems like the better bet in that one. Mm-hmm.
That
Could be, yeah.
it's a science. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
no doubt about it. I
Yeah.
mean, Crow's right. This could be something, out of the norm, of a possible case scenario that could happen, and ultimately, beating Taker and going on, this could be something.
But then again, they had that idea too that I hear that Roman could go for the IC title, but I don't see what that would fit in for him. And then the whole thing with that. Yeah.
Yeah, that would.
Now, the other one, like for Shinsuke, I can see that for the US title. That makes a little bit more sense.
Yeah, but this is like Monday Night Raw we're talking here.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, I can see Shinsuke winning the US down the road, but this is Monday Night Raw we're talking here. And I see a lot of good things, in the future for Finn Balor, but I think it's going to come down to the Shield taking on Brock Lesnar. Then it's every man for himself once Brock gets out of the picture.
Yeah. Yeah, until he wins it again around WrestleMania time if he does get it back. Yeah. That or Survivor Series since he came back at Survivor Series.
Right.
Yeah, that is true, but that's basically going to do that for Extreme Rules. Like I said, expect a kickoff match, expect a bonus match or two on for Extreme Rules for this Sunday, so that's actually looking to be pretty good. The card isn't looking too bad. It does, yeah.
Definitely.
Yeah, so we'll have to wait and see, and now most likely do the review and stuff. Wait for that on Sunday, of the following Sunday most likely. So with that being said, we'll go ahead and move into the final moments of the podcast. And with that being said, for this podcast, we'll go into, I know you wanted to get more in-depth thoughts on the e-feds and stuff that we're doing and stuff like that. So we'll talk about that and more of our experiences, what's going on, what we're looking forward into doing. So, Brother Chris, the floor is yours.
Okay, so we all are a part of e-feds.
Yep.
Giving our history. I know for me, my first match was YTWF.
Yep.
Then I know Mr. DeVito, Bert, he PM'd me
Nice.
my first match in YTWE back when Chris Collier was running it, and I can't remember the exact date of it, but I had made my debut a day at the following show after DeVito made his. So basically, I don't really know where I'm going to go with this whole e-fed talk, but I know I recently gave my notice to a few e-feds, one being SNXT, the other one being ICW, because, and no offense to Levi, okay, a guy who runs it, a guy who was known in the YTWE 18 plus as, the War Machine, Levi McIntyre, but no offense to him, but I just didn't see a whole lot of good creative future for the ICW. So with that being said, our current storylines, FBXW, I don't know exactly where Creepy Chris Michaels is going to go from here. I know I'm going to be feuding with Gavin.
Right.
Because he kind of spoiled the whole thing for Chris Michaels to be being built up as the FBXW World Heavyweight Champion.
Exactly, yeah.
And then, I'm going to give a concern out here because I brought it up to Britt Wigger, our president, yesterday, of pretty much, sort of being a little discouraging, if you will, to see maybe have now Rugged Rebel going into position, fighting Barney Green.
Right.
for the title,
Mm-hmm.
and then his little group,
Stable, yeah.
his little stable, the Lethal Injection, Lethal Syndicate, whatever,
Mm-hmm.
Running around with all the belts, and it's like I don't really see the point of that.
Yeah.
So, I mean, all they would need is a woman,
Mm-hmm.
and I mean, for Christ's sakes,
Well, maybe.
And then we've got our storylines in YTWE where Boston Fan, he's going into this elimination chamber, and so don't know what's going to happen with that. Don't know if Boston Fan is going to lose his title, but if he does, I want people out there to know that it's all good to me.
Yeah.
Everybody deserves a turn.
Mm-hmm.
Or at least the people that make the good promos, the people that put the more effort in, because you don't want to see a guy that is just around for a cup of coffee.
Right.
As the old saying goes.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you want your top people, your top participants, the people that want to see your company succeed,
Yeah.
the people that are putting in the work for the promos to be your champions.
Mm-hmm.
Guys like you, David. Guys like it's your boy Pat.
Mm-hmm.
Shield of Ballycastle. He makes his promos. The DCA, they put in the effort very well to make their promos. I mean, so it's got to go to somebody that makes the effort to make the promos, to
Exactly.
work with your E-Fed,
Mm-hmm.
So, and then you've got COH, where I think COH has kind of turned into a little bit of a dirty business, but still fun at the same time. AWA, I got nothing but good things to say about AWA.
Right.
So with that being said, like I said, I don't know where I'm going to go with this, and I'm not trying to stir the pot for anybody. But let's hear it from the horse's mouth. Krow, how did you get into E-Feds? How are you liking all these E-Feds that are going around? And put you on the spot, maybe get some intel.
Yeah.
Know
more about Krow the Omega.
Pick your brain about, are we ever going to see Krow again? The actual character of Krow, that unique, mysterious character that dubs the face paint, and shouts out his name, Krow the Omega. Give us your story, man. I know you probably did it with Mark, but let's hear it from your side. Maybe this is something that we need to ask Britt about and put him on the spot.
Could be.
But
more about that side too.
But let's hear it from you, Krow. Krow, the floor is yours, man.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, yes. Yeah, we were supposed to have Hell in a Cell because
Mm.
this at the time it was supposed to be. I was the Intercontinental Champion. I always wanted it to pan out where me and Krow could finish it, much like when the whole drunk storyline happened
Yeah.
with DeVito. You had Rugged Rebel, who was
Mhm.
making a storyline. And he was doing his promo about it. I was doing my promo about it. I was more of because I was in the corner of the character DeVito, and Rugged was
Mhm.
at the time egging DeVito on. So, but going back to Krow, I wanted to finish it. I wanted that Hell in a Cell match, which is what I'm hoping can eventually come around to the FBXW. And at the same time of, yeah, I'm feuding with Gavin, but I want to finish the feud with Rugged Rebel,
Mm.
which is where maybe I think we can possibly make some twists and turns. Maybe heading. Where stars are born.
Mm. Yeah. Mm. Mm.
Right, right.
Mhm.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah. Mm. Mm. Mm.
Yeah, I mean that was probably one of the funnest
Yeah.
times. I got to tell you, that was a very good Saturday night. That was awesome.
Yeah.
Because yeah, I mean, well, the thing is, when I Jesse found out that I was going home and to New Hampshire, and he's like, "Well, hey, if you're coming up here, why don't we set some time to meet up?" And I'm like, "Well, to me, that would be awesome," you know. Um, and I let him know when I was up there he was going to see Metallica, uh, on Friday night, and then on Saturday night, that's when we got together. And I got to tell you, that was probably, you know, seeing family, seeing a few friends up there when I was up there on my vacation had to be probably one of the best nights that I've had up there.
That's
And
cool.
the thing is, meeting Jesse, shaking his hand, meeting, Will Bringer, and then going out to doing our promo, to
Hmm.
going to the 99 to get some hors d'oeuvres, some appetizers and
Sweet.
some ciders or beer,
Cool.
and then going to back to Will's place watching NXT.
Mm.
It was such an awesome Saturday night. I couldn't have asked for better. And doing that, like I said, doing that promo in the woods of a park that we went to in Salem. Um, I can't remember what it was called,
Mm.
but the park, probably people thought we were going to be nuts if they ended up hearing us, but we had to go in far enough so that way, nobody would really hear us, and
Mm.
it would basically look like two guys in a mask, and they have a guy on their knees tied up with, box tape, because that's what it was. It was box tape, some really cheap box tape.
Right.
Um, it probably looked like one of those like jihadist videos, like
Mm.
Muslim extremist videos, like we're gonna cut your head off now,
Mm.
you know. But doing the promo was everything that it needed to be. It was fun. It was awesome. It was a hell of a time. Nothing but good things to say about the real person that are Jesse and Will.
Definitely.
If I go up, again next year, I'm definitely going to set aside some time. We're going to hang out again, and it was freaking a blast, you know. But yeah, yeah, because it
Mm.
was just that, and kind of like going back to, the whole thing of ever since starting FBXW, I never thought for one second that the thing is that Krow has unfinished business
Hmm.
with Boston Fan. Rugged Rebel has unfinished business
Yeah.
with Boston Fan. And I hope that one, we can make it work.
I'm
You
sure.
know,
Definitely.
right,
Mm.
exactly.
Mm.
Right.
Mm. Mm.
Oh yeah. I mean, your craft doing the Crow character, the background, but more importantly, trying to get the makeup right has
Mm.
got to be probably the biggest pain in the frickin' ass, you know,
Mm-hmm.
ever.
Mm. Yeah. Yeah, it's a really cool setup. Mm. 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 Yeah. Mm. No, mm.
Well, yeah, because like the way I could possibly see things is,
Mm-hmm.
you know, um, creepy Chris Michaels, Bosty, whatever you want to call him,
Mm-hmm.
has never stopped wanting the TG title. That's
Yeah.
still the case.
Mm-hmm.
But at the same time, like I was just mentioning,
Mm-hmm.
Rugged Rebel and Bosty, Chris,
Yeah.
they have unfinished business
Mm-hmm.
that needs to.
It's
That,
still ongoing. Yep. Mm. Mm.
right, exactly. Because I
Makes
mean,
sense.
it's just. I mean, it's kind of cool for the mysterious part of the unknown of
Exactly.
what could possibly happen, what you might be preparing for,
Yeah, it could go another
and
way.
what you should potentially be maybe prepping to say. Because, you know,
Mm.
we're not going to front, we're not going to bullshit, but,
Yeah.
eventually down the line, the Puerto Rican Punisher might have a tag team partner, and,
Oh
but,
yeah, that's what's going on with me.
but,
Ah.
but,
So yeah, I think it's a very fun storyline, especially for me, creating something so different. So yeah, but it's definitely a different personality too that I have, and I like that. It's just how it just came about so well. Yeah, I didn't think it would last this long, but I was just having it as an idea. Hmm. Mm. Right.
Well, yeah, it's kind of like
Yeah.
it's kind of like
Mhm.
you know, holy shit, what the hell is he up to? But at the same time, and I'm sure
Mhm.
Crow's probably thinking, oh
Mhm.
Jesus Christ, this is probably going to be stupid,
Mhm.
you know.
No, it's more basically comedic relief, basically, if you want to put it that way. Yeah. Mhm. 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 Yeah. Right. Mhm. Mhm. Mhm.
Oh, absolutely. I mean,
Mhm.
he's been, you know, like really fun, like as far as like a boss is concerned, and you know,
Yeah,
putting
definitely.
himself into the mix, you know, with
Mhm.
Gavin and um, you know, just everything that we have talked about, you
Mhm.
know, behind the scenes, and you know, prepping the story. The bottom line is that there is a lot to look forward to. There is a
Mhm.
lot down the road, what we could potentially do,
Right.
storylines that we could potentially do,
Mhm.
you know. Um, and it's all just a matter of time,
Yep.
you know. You know, kind of like what Crow was saying. It could take a few months. It could take, you know, a few weeks, a few months, you know, whatever. Right.
Yeah.
And so,
It definitely
but
takes
I
time.
do know one thing is that, you know, uh, and that was very cool of Rugged to go ahead and represent the
Mhm.
FBXW at Monday Night Raw.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so,
Mhm.
but I got to tell you, you know, creepy Chris Michaels, he's always at the ready. That's the one thing that is always going to
That's
be
true.
for certain. He is always going to
He's
be
always
at the
prepared.
ready.
Mhm. Yeah. Mhm. Mhm. Well, yeah, a lot
Well,
more than
right. Well,
me.
that's just it. Is and it's not a bad thing to have me and David split up
Mhm.
um, as individuals because it gives us our own individual thing to do,
Yeah.
rather than rather than right, right, and rather than be stuck in a
Mhm.
mix where it's going to be complacent. Like,
Yeah.
hey, we need to get back in the the tag team title picture. Well, no, we don't because you know uh, I don't. David, his character, he's got whatever it is he's got going on. Maybe
Yeah.
being out of the picture for a little bit
Right.
because he's got this other alter ego that
Mhm.
he's trying to push and maintain. And then you've got me,
Yep.
creepy Chris Michaels. I mean, um, right,
Well, yeah, he's going through his own time. Yeah.
right. Well, that's just it. And
Mhm.
like I know in YTWE,
Yeah.
uh, David's got some shit. That's all
Mhm.
I'm going to say is David's got some shit. Um,
Yeah.
but like I said, with this whole David's alter ego going on,
Mhm.
or this new character that he has,
Right.
he's got his thing going on.
Mhm.
Chris Michael's got his thing going on with Gavin.
Exactly.
One thing at a time. Me and Gavin, we're going to be you know,
Mhm.
right. And I
Yep.
know that, I got to take, and even Steve said it to me in a PM, the boss,
Mhm.
you know, that Creepy has his things to deal with Gavin, you know. and me and Gavin, we're going to work well together. And I know that, and we do work well together. We're going to push the limit,
Definitely.
I really wish I could meet him face to face.
Yeah, for the beach bash. Yeah,
Oh,
that
yeah.
was fun. That was really cool. Yeah, the boss.
Oh, yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
it really, it. We cut a promo a little while ago, me and David, and it'll rear its head, but basically, Gavin's a pretzel. He really is he's a pretzel you get at a fair. He's not like a crunchy pretzel. He's we affiliated basically that he's a little salty on the outside, but
he likes the nuts, so why not treat
you
it as a
know,
pretzel?
but he's a little soft and warm, I think, on the inside, but he doesn't want people to see it, which is the covering of the pretzel. So, but I mean, it's the truth. I mean, yeah, I mean, there's so much we can do.
Yeah, that's why
in eFeds.
Right.
There's so much we can do, so much to look forward to.
Yeah.
And so much, potential. That's the key word.
Yeah.
Is potential.
Probably, yeah. Yeah, Brandon Wolf, yep. Yeah, he's a really cool character. Yeah, there you go.
But yeah, there's a lot of things to look forward to.
Oh, yeah,
so much potential out there that we could ultimately, help hire for the YT for FBXW, and
for both companies
for all companies, Right, exactly.
Yeah, Yeah. But it's not going to be good all the time. That's a given, too. And I've learned that. Yeah. 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 Well, maybe in time you'll be the champ.
Yeah, that's the thing.
Yeah.
Is I think it's long overdue.
Yeah,
that's the thing.
I like to see that.
That would be cool to see.
Yeah.
But yeah. DK. DK.
Yeah.
An old
nice surprise.
Old school Arn Anderson there.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna toot my own horn here, but toot. Classic WCW days. Oh, it definitely has. It really definitely has.
Yeah, you'll be coming back from the dark pretty soon then.
Yeah. Yeah, Krow, come on out of the closet, bro. It's come on now.
Yeah, yeah.
Yep. Yeah.
Trying to be
Yeah, and
revolutionary.
whenever the Krow is ready, he'll
Yeah.
make his presence felt.
Maybe he'll be a part of our stable one time.
He's not really much of a stable person, is he? Yeah. Oh, absolutely.
Well, if we ever go through any issues, then we might know who to call.
Yeah, absolutely. Hell yeah.
It'll just magically appear out of nowhere.
Yeah, absolutely. So I think we've reached the end of the show, unless we have anything else we need to talk about.
Just getting more a little bit into the rest of that. Like, for me, I like what I'm doing right now. Instead of just going as me as the Instant Classic and being able to have the other characters, it's fun. It gives that character a break to move on to something different and go into the other one. Now, I don't think I'll be more Steve and have the other faces, but I think the ones that I do have right now are good enough. So unless I come up with anything else and anything else is in the works, then we'll see what happens with that. But just working things out, giving more the personality and all that different stuff, it's been really fun. So that's why I wanted to end things off. But yeah, that pretty much ends things off with the podcast. We'll go on with any final moments and stuff like that. I know it's been Memorial Day. We've been enjoying it so far. We had our fair share of food, definitely, with the barbecue and the beer
food
and
and drink.
Yeah.
Hell yeah, man.
Yeah,
No doubt.
We'll swig a beer for Krow the Omega.
And swig a beer for the working man.
Yeah. No, that's fine. It's podcast.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we're going to definitely try, working hard to try and make this once a week.
Mm-hmm.
It had to be skipped last week because, of course, I wasn't in town. David wasn't in town.
Right.
We were our separate ways. But, now that everything is all full scale back in action, we're going to be looking forward at doing this once a week and, potentially having, more guests on. And, you were our first guest here on our
numero uno.
Yeah, you were number one. You were number one. Yeah, you were number one, and we definitely thank you from the bottom of our hearts.
Definitely.
For being on. You've always been a really cool friend to us, and we just look forward to keep working with the likes of Krow the Omega, Ivana.
Yeah.
But most importantly to the guy that is Krow, Jeremy.
Yes.
Cool dude. Always have been. Always will be. Thank you for being a friend to us. And
it's been tremendous.
It's been a tremendous time today.
Maybe we'll get Steve. Maybe get Steve and both of you guys coming next time. I know he wanted to join.
It could happen.
Yeah, that's true. Oh. That would be something to look forward to.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So, we're going to cap everything off.
Mm-hmm.
This has been the David and Chris Show.
Yes.
The show that totally reeks of awesome sauce. David, do you have any final words?
With that being said, we'll definitely be back for the next one. This has been episode numero dos on that. And until then, enjoy the rest of your Memorial Day weekend and all that good stuff. And the rest of the summer, for that matter. So we'll definitely be back, and we'll see who would be the next guest, maybe.
Yeah, we'll see.
Yeah, definitely. That would be a hell of a podcast, definitely. So whoever wants to join, let us know. Either message me or Chris, and we'll see what happens.
Yeah, absolutely. We'd love to have, anybody on. Anybody that wants to talk.
All right, until then, enjoy the rest of your week. See you guys.